Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. TGIF, it's Friday. It's a beautiful day. I mean, just a gorgeous day. Look at all that sunshine out there and nice cool temperatures. And we're going to wait a little while, then go downstairs. We got a nice little saw sent to us from Virginia, from upstate New York, and interesting history. Let's get to it. Okay, today's project comes from Virginia, from a good friend of the show by the name of Alan Taylor. Now, Alan does restorations himself, and he picked up a lot of saws that he was going to work on, and he saw one was from Hudson, New York, and he thought about us and here at the channel, and he contacted me. We had some nice conversation. He sent it down, so let's go check it out. Okay, so this is the saw that Alan sent over, this nice keyhole saw. It's a vintage keyhole saw, and the manufacturer was Mephisto. Mephisto was from ancient mythology, and it actually means the devil, or stood for the devil. But this company was out of Hudson, New York, and it was established in about 1830, and it ran all the way up till almost 2019 or something. You know, it had a great run. And now, when they first opened, Mephisto Tools had a big variety of tools, and they used to sell to all different retailers, hardware stores, things like that. You would see a tool board up there. You would pick out a tool you wanted, and they had some nice tools. Then they, when they sold over back in the 40s and 50s, they started to make mostly plumbing tools, things like that. But it's like I said, it had a good run, the company. This particular saw here, what's nice about this is a cast aluminum keyhole saw, and you can see here the condition that it's in. You know, aluminum, though, we know how nice aluminum comes out. And look at this nice pocket for some color. I mean, it's just begging for a nice restoration. But you know, it's got some dings and dents, and we'll be able to clean it up. We're going to have to probably manufacture new bolts, you know, something nice. Now, this usually had a slot here. Alan was nice enough to send these two. Now, these were, again, these were made for different kind of saws, but they have that same type of connector that you would put on here. You could see, you would slide this in, and the two nuts or bolts would hold that on there. So he's got a couple different saws here from different manufacturers, and these are in really good shape. They just need a little bit of maintenance. And this one here is a nice made in Germany. You see that? This saw here, and they're all in good shape, like I said, and they all have that single slot design. So let's take this apart, clean it up, and see what we can do with it. Now, unfortunately, this nut is all conical and everything, and you couldn't even grip it with any kind of ply. So what I did was I used a hacksaw, and I cut a line straight through here, and then I split the nut off like this. You could see here, I split the nut off. And then once the nut was split off like that, I was able to just pound this through. And like I said, we're going to make new ones or come up with different ones. But that's the only way you can do it. You got to be careful and just cut through the nut. And you're going to dispose of this just like the blade. Don't try and save stuff that's too far gone. Now, you might have an urge to run this under the wire brush or something. Do not, whatever you do not put this, aluminum and steel wire brush does not, it'll create a mess. So don't put this in the wire brush, but you can use sandpaper or something to grind this down and get all these nicks and everything out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use a fine sanding disc, and we're going to get all these nicks out, and it will polish up nicely. And then in here, the same thing. In here, it's okay. You're going to cover this with paint, so you can go in with some kind of a soft wire brush in here, because that'll help the paint grip. Now, it's a good idea to keep your belts if they break, because you can use them like this by hand, and that's what I did on this. Now, one thing you have to be leery about when working with aluminum is the belt will tend to clog up from the aluminum. So what you have to do is you have to use these abrasive, these little eraser blocks, and just clear out the belt every so often, and that makes your work a lot easier. Now the fiber disc helps in taking out the scratches from the belts. Now, you know, with the painting technique, we basically flood the area and then we wipe off the excess, giving a nice clean line, and also wipe off the edges of the letters, then put it on the furnace to bake it. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this saw looked like before we started. And we are calling this project done. This came out real nice. You know, aluminum is a joy to work with if you have a little patience to it. But you can see what we did here, and of course this was just screaming for some color here. You see the Mephisto, and on the other side you see the Hudson, New York. The letters came out beautiful, baked in that beautiful regal red. It's all baked in there. Look at this handle now, huh? I mean, I don't even have to tell you how this feels in the hand, because I know you could see just how nice and smooth and silky this feels. Also, I did brass. I used brass. I think the brass really gives it a nice look. And since I didn't have any brass nuts on hand, I used hardened nuts because they're, yeah, I like that look on there. And I used the another blade that Alan had, and you know, put that in. The original blade is soaking in vinegar. Not that I'll be able to use. I mean, that's a consumable item, and that thing was shot. But I'm going to try and see, because it did have slightly different hole patterns, and I want to see if I can get them. So in closing, I want to give a special thanks to Alan Taylor for sending over that Mephisto Saw from Hudson, New York, a company I really wasn't too familiar with until now. And really appreciate it, and I think it came out real good. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a nice weekend, too. Take care now. Bye-bye.